Did you know that over half of US adults have a chronic disease? Cancer, autoimmune, diabetes, metabolic disorders, the numbers are skyrocketing. And most people have no idea that the food that they're eating and the household products that they're purchasing and bringing into their homes can be causing it. I'm Amy Todisco. I'm the founder of Green Living Now. My overview of my business and why I started it. So, about 30 years ago, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I had a big wake up call. I had been eating organic food and I'd worked in a health food store when I was 16 years old. So, I became aware of not only the organic food, but vitamins and supplements and a little bit about household products. But I was wandering through a health food store and I picked up a paperback book called The Non-Toxic Baby. And I can tell you, I was shocked to learn that there were all kinds of toxic chemicals in everyday household products like shampoo and cleaning products and body care and even the carpets and paints that we're using to decorate our homes. And what was really upsetting, besides that fact, was that nobody is really protecting us. Many of these chemicals are actually banned in other countries. So I realized that nobody was protecting us and I needed to take action. I launched my own research project. This realization sparked a lifelong passion and commitment to not only reducing my own exposure to toxic chemicals in food and household products, but also embracing holistic health so that I could prevent illness before it started and ideally avoid pharmaceuticals and doctors. And I thankfully, knock on wood, don't take any pharmaceuticals. I have been committed to helping other people realize the same information, eliminate toxins from their food and their homes, and also use the holistic health strategies, both the ancient ones that have been proven to work and the new cutting edge ones that I think we're moving towards that are really awesome. Focus my passion and my commitment on teaching other people, particularly health conscious women entrepreneurs like myself, figure out how to eliminate these toxins from our food and our household products and embrace holistic health tools to prevent illness. I started my business, Green Living Now, to make this whole process easier, to be a trusted source of information because I do not align myself with any products that I don't use myself or haven't tried myself and can stand behind. I tend to focus on science-backed information, and all of this is about finding healthier, safer swaps to the toxic everyday stuff that most people are using. I've seen too many people swayed by greenwashing, fake marketing where the bottle has a green liquid that is made from coal tar dye and it says non-toxic or earth friendly. My goal has been to share the information, make it easier to understand, help people avoid the greenwashing, the slick marketing that makes it sound like it's non-toxic and eco-friendly when you look on the label and you realize that's not true. And also to give us a feeling of power that we can actually make changes that will benefit us and the planet. My work is basically about simplifying the process, providing clear guidance through my online courses, my Green Living Now podcast, and other resources. And it's helping people to transition to a holistic, toxin-free, and earth-friendly lifestyle without the confusion and the overwhelm, and to save people a ton of money and time that I spent over 30 years doing this myself. So what's my big vision for my business? I've got 4. Number 1 is expanding my impact through education. So I want to reach as many people as possible. I've already impacted thousands, I know, but I really want to reach a much larger audience, millions, through my podcast, my online courses, the workshops that I provide, public speaking. Ultimately, I want to make green living accessible for everybody, not just those that can afford it, and also make it practical. I want to empower people to break free from the toxic systems that we're all kind of locked into. It's about reducing our reliance on conventional medicine, because I think we all know that the healthcare system in this country particularly is really broken. It's not about health. It's more about diagnosing, prescribing pharmaceuticals or surgery or some other kind of intervention that often money is behind that. And even the fact that doctors are only trained maybe 4 hours in nutrition. That tells us something. We're trying to take back our power from big agriculture, big pharma, and toxic consumer products. And really, it's about giving people the information that they need to make better choices that are going to be supportive of themselves, their family, and even their pets. So, third, I want to change the narrative around natural and organic and holistic health. A lot of people still think that eating organic and using holistic health strategies are too expensive or too time consuming, or maybe they think that they're extreme or unnecessary. Like, there's the better living through chemicals crowd. And I'm here to debunk these myths. I want to show people that there are simple, cost effective, and life changing choices that I've been doing for 30 years that really are not that hard to embrace. The fourth part of my big vision is to increase my speaking and my advocacy. I would like bigger stages to speak on, larger audiences, and partnering with aligned organizations so that we can create massive change in consumer awareness and industry standards. So where can you learn more about my work? You can go to my website, which is greenlivingnow.com, and you will find a variety of different resources. One that I would love to invite you to try is the 5-day Green Living Kickstart Challenge. That gives you simple, actionable steps for one email a day for 5 days. And then you can also check out my courses. There's 2 available right now, the Organic Food Blueprint course and the How to Create a Non-Toxic Home, a room by room guide. You can even check out the free preview of those courses if you need some more information. And and you want to listen to my Green Living Now podcast, you'll find links on there for the YouTube version if you want to do video, or if you want to listen to it on iTunes or any of your favorite podcast platforms. So there's nothing more fulfilling for me than seeing the positive impact that I can make and help people change their lives in the similar way that I have. For me, it's not just a business, it's my life's work. And I wake up every day knowing that I'm helping people live greener, healthier, less toxic, and more eco-friendly lives. And this is particularly important as we look out and see how toxic things are. I mean, our food supply is terrible in this country. The healthcare system we know is broken. Our planet is struggling, and we need to take action now. And that's what my passion is. I feel like that's my purpose for being here. Just to give you an example of the impact that I know that I'm making, I live on this organic farm in Vermont with my husband, Dave. And in the summertime, I lead these unique food and farm tours. I take people around the farm and teach them about organic food while they're picking things to eat. Then we do a piece in the sugar house to learn about maple syrup production. We learn about medicinal herbs. And then we also visit the big year-round hydroponic greenhouse on the back end of our property. And so one time I had this family of French people, and they had 3 kids, none of whom spoke English, and they didn't like vegetables when they first arrived. They didn't really want to try them, but we kind of cajoled them, and they ate some green beans off the plant. I think they picked some peas and some cherry tomatoes, and they actually liked them. And then we ended the tour with a farm-to-table lunch that I make, and I heard from the parents after they returned home, and come to find out that these 3 children now will eat vegetables if they tell them that these are just like Amy and Dave's vegetables. So I felt like, oh my gosh, impacting the lives of children is particularly exciting. So that was just one story. One of the reasons why I love having my own business is because I am able to create my own freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, and the potential is unlimited. If I'm working for somebody else, everything I do is benefiting their business. Whereas I'm a kind of person that puts 150% into whatever I do. So I'd rather have that pay off for me. It's not just financial freedom and time freedom, but it's this feeling like I'm making a difference in the world. That's so important to me. I really want to feel like I'm leaving a legacy, not only for my daughter, but for everybody that is, here while I'm here, but also that comes after me. I'm probably not going to be one of those people that retires and just plays golf, which I don't even like, but that I really feel like my whole life here, I want to continue to make a difference in a variety of different ways. I figure if you really want to discover who you are, start a business. Entrepreneurship is a journey of self-discovery for sure. And it's also about empowerment. We actually have to step outside of our comfort zones and be able to trust ourselves and build something that reflects our deepest values. And you get to create something that's entirely yours. Nobody else is dictating your vision or your impact or your success. You're in control of how you grow, who you serve, and the legacy that you leave. So, like I said, running your own business means that you have freedom on every level. You control your time, your energy, and your income. And you get to design a business that supports your life rather than fitting your life into somebody else's through a job. One of the things that's really important to me is living in Vermont. I love, it's beautiful, but I don't love the winter. So our goal, Dave and I, is to be someplace warm during the winter months. And because my business is online for the most part, I can take it with me, which gives me a tremendous sense of freedom. One of the other things about owning my own business is that I have developed skills I never knew that I could be good at, much less needed. So building websites or mastering marketing and social media, creating videos and even editing them myself, launching and running a podcast, and so much more. And the pride that I have over learning these new skills and sometimes even teaching them to other people is so powerful. It's like nothing else I've ever done. And it's not just about the money, which of course, all business owners want to make good money, but it's about growing me. If you feel the curiosity and the pull to start your own business, I would follow that. Take the first step, even if it's small. Trust in your ability to create the life you want. I've always been a dream board, a vision board creator, and have used them for years and really into spirituality and using the different tools that are available to us. And I think visualizing is so important because our brains really don't even know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. And so if you want to create a life that you love, first you have to figure out what it is that you want to do. And I am betting that you are more capable than you realize. How does my business look now versus when I started? When I started, I was an activist on a mission. Today, I'm a business owner with a full-scale movement, empowering people to take back their control of their health and their homes. So when I started, I lived in Massachusetts. Actually, I grew up in New York City, but I lived in Massachusetts after college, and I started writing letters to the editor of the local newspaper because I had learned from that non-toxic baby book about all these different toxic chemicals that people didn't know about and weren't talking about. And of course, it got a conversation going, particularly with the Better Living Through Chemicals crowd. And then I decided that I needed to create my first event. So I did an Earth Day event, which was very popular and showcased green living. And then we discovered that this town that I lived in had 3 types of cancer above the state average. And people were shocked. But yet they had already been kind of pre-educated from these conversations in the newspaper and from the Earth Day event. So I had co-founded this Marblehead Cancer Prevention Project because we wanted to look at what were the potential environmental causes of these 3 types of cancer for this little tiny seacoast community. And we put on a big forum, and I worked with the Board of Health to tighten up the pesticide laws because people were kind of indiscriminately spraying pesticides on their little postage stamp lawns. Always saw the little signs with the yellow, warning with the child and the dog through it. And then I moved to Vermont. And that was a calling, and that's a whole nother story. I was hired by Seventh Generation to lead a new nonprofit called the Household Toxins Institute. And that was all around testing household products to find out what kind of indoor air pollutants they were potentially putting into the air. And we were going to start with natural products. I did that for about a year, and then I launched my Green Living Now business. Initially, it was an online store with about 100 different natural and organic products. And I did a monthly newsletter to about 3,000 people. And then I got invited to be the technical editor of the Green Living for Dummies book, the 2008 version, which was awesome. And I had my almost Oprah moment where I got a call from one of her producers. She was going to come visit me in my home in Vermont and interview me about my green living lifestyle, but unfortunately went with a nonprofit right at the last moment, which was actually totally fine. Then I've continued to speak at conferences, and I've gotten a lot of media recognition, different TV and radio and podcasts and print articles. I've been very fortunate. Once I met my husband, Dave, and I moved into this organic farm where he's lived his whole life, that was kind of a transition into a bigger part of my dream. I'd always wanted to live on an organic farm, either in Vermont or California. And I got to make that happen. And so Dave and I have built this farm together. He started it long before he knew me, but we've built it together for the last 15 years. And we've done farm to table dinners and kids camps and personal growth and wellness retreats and these food and farm tours that got me onto HGTV and, oh, 4 different food festivals that were really fun. And I even started a nonprofit called the Vermont Farm Immersion Program because we were trying to inspire the next generation of organic farmers or food business owners. What my business looks like today is now I'm making a bigger impact than ever and reaching people far beyond my local community. I launched the Green Living Now website about 20 years ago, but today I've actually evolved into a global education platform where I empower people with all kinds of knowledge and tools on how to detox their lives and thrive. So I've got the podcast where I dive into holistic health and green living and sustainable ag, interviewing experts, and also talking to people who have really inspiring stories of how they healed their own illness with green living or holistic health strategies. I've built some comprehensive online courses that are like nothing else out there. One on organic food on a budget, creating a non-toxic home room by room, and a holistic health beginner guide. I've got a bunch of free resources like the 5-day Green Living Kickstart Challenge. I've got a household dangers, the most toxic products in your home guide. There's free workshops from time to time, speaking engagements. And I love speaking on other people's stages and podcasts as well. One of the other pieces that my business has done in more recent times is I've been investing and growing my connections. So I attend a lot of events with other industry leaders, learn a lot about refining my business strategies and how to reach people more effectively. I've done a ton of strategic networking and building collaborations. I love talking to and working with other like-minded business owners, empowering people with the tools and the knowledge and the support that they need to live a toxin-free life. Question: how do I set my business apart from others in this industry? So for me, green living isn't something that I just teach, it's something that I live. And I've lived it for over 30 years. And my work is deeply rooted in hands-on experience, scientific research, and a commitment to truth and integrity. I have a very deep and diverse experience. I've been organic gardening for as long as I had a patio that I could put a pot on, but I've really expanded that to growing my own stuff, even though I have this amazing farm that my husband runs as far as the growing piece. I grow my own things in our own garden right by the house, medicinal herbs, flowers, and vegetables. So I've got real world knowledge about how to grow food and herbs and flowers sustainably. And then I've had a long history of nonprofit leadership and activism. So I mentioned the Marblehead Cancer Prevention Project. I mentioned the Earth Day event, but I also worked with our local Chamber of Commerce. I was the chairperson for a couple of years and really brought that organization into a new direction. And I founded and led a wellness alliance of all the different practitioners in this area. As I mentioned, I worked as the founding executive director of the Household Toxins Institute that Seventh Generation started. And of course, my published experience of the tech editor for Green Living for Dummies, the 2008 version, the media attention that I've already mentioned. And because I started this 30 years ago, that was before green living was trendy. I didn't wait to get sick like some of the other green living experts. I had such an interesting upbringing with my mom, who was really into Adele Davis, the nutrition guru, and my stepfather was a chef. We ate really good food. I learned how to cook from scratch at a young age. And my great aunt JoJo was a wonderful inspiration, growing her own food, making her own soap, drying herbs. So I'd love to go visit her. So I didn't wait to get sick before I started detoxing my life. The minute I found out that there were all these toxins and have everyday household products, I immediately went to work and basically cleared out everything that was in my home that was remotely toxic and replaced it with much safer alternatives. I also had my first job at a health food store in New York City, which was awesome, as I mentioned before. And even though I grew up in New York, I kind of was a plant out of place there. I longed to live in the country, and luckily I went to private school with a lot of really wealthy kids who all had country houses, so I got to escape as much as I possibly could. And I love nature. I've always felt connected to nature and good food, and so that was the beginning of my process. So my Online courses and my business model is really different than what else is out there. Other courses tend to barely scratch the surface, and I go really deep. I uncover the hidden toxins, including the food industry's biggest secrets and the real strategies for a healthier life. For example, unlike other online courses, my organic food blueprint course, which is a great starting place for people, we talk about the truth about our broken food system, from hidden toxics to industry cover ups. We talk about how conventional food impacts our health, including fertility rates and disease rates, how to eat organic without breaking the bank. That's one of the biggest challenges that I find people are struggling with. And I have learned some great tips over the last 30 years of how to save money, how to spot greenwashing and decipher food labels. You'd be surprised at the things that I thought made a difference. I was surprised to learn that wild caught on my tuna fish can didn't really mean anything. I did a deep dive over 100 different food labels and analyzed them. And then even practical food planning and food waste reduction and sustainable habits that you can actually, at the end of the course, create a action plan for yourself with my help. So this isn't just about following a particular diet. I don't advocate whether people want to be vegan, vegetarian, omnivore, keto, whatever. It's about breaking free from a toxic food system and reclaiming our control over our health. Another thing that sets me apart is my integrity, my authenticity, and trustworthiness. So I don't sell trends. I only offer advice and product recommendations and courses and resources that I've actually either created or used myself that I can personally stand behind. And I don't push any brands on anybody. The only brands that I mention are ones that I've used or am currently using that align with my values. And people trust me because they know that I'll tell them the truth, even when it's not what the big brands and industries want people to hear. The other thing is I simplify the complexity. I break down everything that's overwhelming and complex and misleading, like detoxing your home and choosing safer products and embracing holistic health, into real actionable steps. And my courses, my workshop, and my podcast are all designed to educate, empower, and help people make immediate change. The last piece is I have a commitment to growth and expanding my reach. I'm constantly learning new things and then sharing that with other people. I evolved from selling online products and a monthly newsletter to being a hub for information and transformation through courses and a podcast and growing community. And I've invested myself to expanding my impact. I'm constantly attending events and networking and learning from industry leaders, meeting with other entrepreneurs, and I'm constantly learning. That's one of the things that keeps me going. Also, as I mentioned, collaborating with other like-minded business owners. One of the things about me is I did not wait for opportunities, I created them. So I went from grassroots activism to national recognition, and I built my business by showing up and speaking out and making an impact. So how did I market my business when it was brand new? Number one was through activism, through thought leadership, and being visible. My early activism, we already talked about. My credibility, working with seventh generation, being the tech editor for Green Living for Dummies. Oh, and I even started a nonprofit after my seventh generation experience. I started a nonprofit, I think it was called the Consumers Healthy Household or something. I can't remember now. And I was in line for this Echoing Green Fellowship for $60,000. And I had to go through this intense process. And I got into the top 10% and they sent us to New York City. And I was at the top between one other person after this whole audition process. It was right after 9/11 too. So it was a little freaky being in New York at that time. But I didn't get it because two of the judges were industry people. One was actually a medical doctor, a conventional medical doctor, and the other one owned a paint store. And so I had gotten the down low from somebody that I was on the top of that list, but because they didn't really believe in household toxins, I didn't get selected. So that was close, but not quite. The other piece was content and community building, launching the free newsletter, getting 300,000 subscribers, and becoming a valuable source of information. So I talked about writing columns in the local newspaper and then getting into volunteer leadership, chamber chairperson, founding chair of the Wellness Alliance, working on a vitality committee here to improve the economic viability of our area. And all of these positions help me build relationships and network and be seen as a leader in the wellness and sustainability space. And when I moved onto our organic farm, I gained visibility through the farm events, through the food festivals, the kids camp, my tours. I have a high-end tour company that books a lot of people for my tours. The other thing is, I will say that we have a pretty prominent location here on Route 100 in Waitsfield, Vermont, and my husband's lived on this land his whole life. He was the first organic farmer in this Mad River Valley. So that absolutely helped me get more visibility too. So one of the other big pieces is referrals and media and word of mouth. Word of mouth and referrals and the media that I've gotten has definitely brought people to me. And then it gives me a bigger sense of credibility and trust. I built my business by taking action, by speaking, writing, networking, and hands-on education. I showed up where the conversation was happening, and over time, that positioned me as a leader in the green living movement. How do I deal with fear and doubt, especially being visible online? Being visible, especially online, can feel terrifying, but I remind myself that my message is bigger than my fear. And I think we all know that a lot of people fear public speaking even more than death. How have I built my confidence and handled fear and doubt over the years? Well, one piece was my mom. I have to give her credit. She raised me to believe that I could make a difference and that being a woman was an asset and that I was seen and heard. And I got to go to private schools, which was an awesome education and meet really great people. And it built my confidence. And then I had an experience where I went to an actor's workshop one weekend, and that taught me about performance. I had to prepare a character, and I was going to be a ballerina, but then the girl before me stood up on the stage and did a ballerina, and I thought, oh, no way, I'm not going to do the same thing as her. What a loser I would seem like. So I decided, it just popped into my head that I should become a TV evangelist minister. Now, I'm not a church going person, so that I was just getting from what I saw on TV. And I stood up and I started doing this incredible act. And I had everybody on their knees praying in the audience. And then I stopped and kind of had a moment of panic, like, oh my gosh, what is happening here? And I remembered the teachers in the back of the room saying, get back into character, get back into character. And I did, and I finished it. And I have to say that that moment, and I think I was about 13 or 14 at the time, that has stayed with me. And it made me realize that I have a lot more power than I was even aware of. And then I also had some early leadership experiences. I loved gymnastics and I became the captain of our gymnastics team. And then I moved on to volleyball when gymnastics got too scary. I remember I was up on the top parallel bar about to dismount off, and I thought, this is getting crazy. And so I shifted into volleyball. I was pretty athletic. I then became the co-captain of the volleyball team and even was the athletic rep for my class that year. I've been fairly comfortable being a voice to help inspire others and lead. And then self-awareness is a big part of my foundation. So I had this really unique experience of being only 13 years old and going to an adult training called EST. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but it was a personal development seminar that was really popular in the 1970s. And I think I just aged myself. And I was sent there because my mother had taken the training and it was life-changing for her. And she wanted both my sister and I to kind of be on the same page and speak the same language. So that was incredibly eye-opening. I learned a ton of stuff. The biggest takeaway was that we create our own reality. Then I just continued on with my own self-inquiry and took more workshops. I read a ton of books. I really got into things like Jonathan Livingston Seagull and Alan Cohen's books, all kinds of spiritual tools. I was really looking for practical ways to help me manifest things better in my life. So, overcoming fear and visibility online, I remind myself why I'm doing this work because I realize it's not about me. It's about helping other people live healthier, less toxic lives. And that really drives me forward. I focus on being authentic, not perfect. And I always say it's about progress, not perfection. I think it's important to be real and not necessarily say all the right things. I trust that the right people will resonate with my message. I've been told countless times, "Oh, I love your energy. I love your energy." And I realize that that is one of the ways that we attract people. I realize that I'm not for everyone, that I am only here for the people that are ready to hear what I have to say and that are willing to take action to make personal change and actually planetary change if we all work together. I realize that at the end of the day, fear and doubt are just distractions that keep me from doing my work, and I'm not going to let that happen. My mission is to educate and empower people and inspire people. And the only way I can do that is by being visible myself. So I realize that that is more important than, oh my gosh, my hands are sweating. I'm nervous. Is mindset more important than systems and strategies? And why do I feel that way? Well, you can have the best systems, the perfect strategy, and all the tools in the world. But if your mind isn't in the right place, it's not going to work. So, mindset, I believe, is the foundation of success. And you probably have guessed that based on what I was just talking about, as far as all the spiritual tools that I've been exploring over the years. I feel like mindset drives everything. So, I think of myself having an open growth type mindset. It helps me figure out how to show up and whether I'm going to take action or fall prey to setbacks. And so without the right mindset, you can have all the best systems and strategies. But if you're coming from a place of, let's say, victimhood or nothing's going to work out for me, our impact is going to be diminished. And then people feel overwhelmed and ineffective. And then it's really impossible to create the life of your dreams. I definitely attribute mindset first to my success. Everything I've built, from writing letters to the editor that sparked conversations, to heading nonprofits, creating events, helping run this organic farm and improve it, and even creating the courses that I've created in the podcast, all started with one basic premise: the belief that I could do these things. And I have always believed that I could make a difference. Not that I haven't had my challenges, but when I didn't have the answers, I went and looked for them. I found the experts to help me. I always knew that I could make a difference, even if I didn't have all the answers, because eventually I was going to find them and get that advice and put that advice into action. And all of that came from belief. So mindset gave me the confidence, the abilities to step into being more visible, and the ability to speak up and trust that my work would actually matter and make a difference. And I can't tell you how many times I have a lot of people I'm connected to on Facebook. And for a period of time, I was posting these kind of powerful questions and getting a conversation going. And I have met so many people that have said to me, "Oh, I really love the things that you've posted on Facebook." And I had no idea. They didn't click like, they didn't make a comment. I had no idea they were even paying attention. So I would just say that to say that we never necessarily know the impact that we're having on people until somebody tells us. I feel like systems and strategies are absolutely important. They help us to scale, to streamline, and to sustain our businesses. And the effectiveness of them, of course, depends on your mindset. So if you're stuck in doubt or fear or perfectionism, you're not going to take action. Why mindset matters the most is because if we push past our fears, we can step into visibility. If we stay grounded when challenges arise and become resilient, we won't quit. It reminds us that our mission is more important and our passion to serve. And it builds resilience because we have to adapt and grow. The obvious best thing is to have a power combo between mindset and tools. Something fun or interesting about me. Oh, well, I think I already told you. It was that I was the youngest participant in the adult S training. But another one I'll tell you, this is a weird one. I was born in Dallas, only lived there for 3 months, and I was there long enough to be on the street with my mom during President Kennedy's assassination. So she ducked behind a bush to protect me. And then we promptly moved to New York City, not because of that. My dad got a job. But that's kind of a weird story that not too many people know. I guess I will end by saying that I see a world where it's not just a select few that have the knowledge and the resources to live a toxin free and sustainable, holistic lifestyle, but that this is a way of living that needs to become the norm. Imagine if you walked into your home knowing that every product was safe, that your food was grown in healthy, nourishing soils, and it fed your body, because we're all designed to heal, right? We could feel vibrant and connected and healthy and in charge of our well being. That's the world that I want to help create. And especially for other female entrepreneurs like myself, because I feel like those of us that are health conscious know that being healthy is imperative to being able to do a really good job in your business. So I'll leave you with that thought. I would love to connect.